This is a CBC podcast.
Robin Hood is coming to Antigonish a month from now. There will be no Little John with him, though. Andrea Boyd is the artistic director for Festival Antigonish, and for Theatre Antigonish. She is the director of Robin Hood, The Great Escape. She co-wrote it with Laura Teasdale. Laura plays Lil Joan in the production. Show opens August 4th. Both are on the line with us now. Andrea, Laura, welcome to Main Street.
Thank you for having us. Thank you. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Laura. It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. We're both back in Nova Scotia.
I know. Thank the Lord. Hey, so let's start with Andrea. This sounds very exciting. Can you describe the area wherein you're going to stage this and talk about how that location got you thinking?
Yes. So in the fall, we realized that the greatest chance that we had to actually put on a play this summer would be to move outdoors. And we decided to move to the Kepik, which is this beautiful recreation park about 7-minute drive from downtown. It once upon a time was a little ski hill, and within the last 5 or so years, they have done a lot of work on it, and it is just gorgeous. And then we thought, well, we're in the forest. What is the perfect play to take place in the forest? Thus, Robin Hood.
Now, and how is it going to unfold, Laura?
Well, it starts with a big swashbuckling adventure kind of scene as the audience comes in, and that they all witness together, and then it goes off into their sort of socially distanced groups of 20, and then they get to watch little scenes, little more delicate or smaller scenes that all happen at the same time, and the audience walks from scene to scene on this beautiful path here at the Kepik.
So as you break into the smaller groups, is it kind of the same, the idea of those, remember those choose your adventure books, or is everyone seeing the play in the same chronology?
Everybody sees it in the same order in a way, except that you start at a different point around the circle. So around this 1.5 kilometer trail, there's 5 locations where those scenes are happening, and these small groups of audience will be led around by guides who are in character and who are there to help keep that experience immersive for those groups. So they lead those audience groups around, and they see those 5 different scenes, and then everybody comes together for a grand finale. So the actors in those 5 scenes have to play it 5 times in a row. Right.
And so just so I can hammer it again into my mind, is it that everyone is starting kind of at a different, if there's the 5 scenes, someone's like, there's a group starting at, I guess you do your intro scene, and then there's a group starting at scene 1, a group starting at scene 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you go through it.
Yep. Yes. So in a way, it is kind of like a choose your own adventure in that everybody's experience of the show will be different because the first voices they hear will be different. Some people might get to hear from Marion first. Some people might get to hear from Lil Joan first. So they're going to have a different take on what the day's about.
Ah, that's really interesting. And how does it, does it not, are you not going to lose people? Like how would a dimwit like me not be lost if I'm starting on scene 3?
So if you can imagine, so scene 1 happens, and then a week passes. And it's sort of what everybody is doing at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, which is the night of the execution. So it's what everybody's doing at the same time. So it's not story-based. Yeah. You don't need to know anything from one scene to understand what's happening in the next scene. But all of those scenes come together in the final scene, so it all adds up.
What are those? Was it the Tesseract? Is that the name of those kind of shows where, something happens and then the whole episode is telling the same story from different people's points of view? Is that called the Tesseract? Mm-hmm. Is that right?
Yes, exactly. And that was something that influenced us a great deal, that you'd get a different perspective from everybody, but we all love and care about the same people that we're talking about.
So, okay, how you've got 5 scenes that you have to cast for. I mean, these are basically 5 short plays, it sounds like, that are going to be happening simultaneously, all, involving I guess the same plot line because characters can't travel back and forth between scenes, right? How many actors do you need?
We have 10 professional actors. So each around that circle, it's more or less duets. Okay. But we also have 13 community actors involved who are playing small roles in each of those scenes, and in the beginning and the end. So they're playing extra merry men, guards, people in the archery competition.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So it's a big cast this year. This is so unlike anything that Festival Antigonish has ever done, or theater ends.
Laura, just between you and me as Equity members, how do our friends at Equity feel about that? They okay with that?
Well, you know what? They have been amazing. They have really understood that that COVID has caused this rift for all of us. It's caused a problem for all of us. So they've been so kind of giving concessions because they know that nobody's being taken advantage of. We all want to do this together. And what a great way to bring these two theaters that have had to be on hiatus, the community and the professional, together in a giant scene. It's so exciting.
Now, I understand as well that I called them Merry Men just because that is what Robin Hood and the Merry Men. That. But what are you calling them? Because you have it's 50-50 split, right?
Yeah. So, funnily enough, we're still calling them the Merry Men, even though half of them are women. Oh. And there's a great line. I think Laura wrote it. That's the biggest secret of history is that half of the people were always women.
It's a good line. It is a good line.
Yeah. You can't be surprised. Half of us, we were here the whole time. Yeah.
Yeah. And we had lots of discussion amongst ourselves and with other people about, is it okay to call them the Merry Men? Because we could change it to the Merry Band or the Merry Foresters. But there was just something really sort of fun for us in keeping it
really tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah. Really tongue firmly planted in the cheek. Yeah.
And how, because you're the diversity, from what I understand too, is something that you were really mindful of as you were casting and stuff, and diversity and kind of being contemporary. So maybe what are some other examples of diverse casting and how you bring this story into the present?
Well, I find Andrea really means to put her money where her mouth is when she talks about diversity, and so this show is really given finally an opportunity for her and the team at the festival to really do that. So it's great because we're writing it ourselves. So if we know that we have like a Chinese Canadian available to a fabulous actor to play Friar Tuck, then we're writing it, so we can write it for that character. It's quite lovely. So we've got a really diverse group, and they all fit perfectly because it's written for them.
And another example would be our Robin Hood, who is played by Matt Lecca, who was here 2 seasons ago in The Broomful of Asha. And because he is South Asian, we have given Robin Hood that heritage as well. So Robin's dad, who was British, was on the Silk Road and met his mom, and they fell in love, and they came back. And Robin himself was born in England, but his mom was a Hindu from India.
And
so we're taking liberties with the traditional characters. For sure.
Yeah, liberties are just revisioning. I think bringing it into today. I think it'll resonate with more people. Now, and then there's Laura Lil Joan. So tell us a bit about Lil Joan and how you rewrote or wrote this character, created this character, and what she's like.
Well, Lil Joan is pretty exactly like Lil Jon. Particularly from like the Disney cartoon, because she's just a big old bear, she's a fighter, she's the strongest one in the group. But her best friend, Will Scarlet, is a really refined and well-educated fighter, really fine swordsman. And of course, Joan is just going to clonk everybody. So it's a lovely little fight between them, and it also is. It's fun for me, and it's fun for him to play against type. That the woman is the sort of the really aggressive,
the brawler,
the brawler, and the man is like cautious, and it's lovely.
And I love now. It's been a long time, Laura, since I have seen you. But you are little John. I recall was like huge, like a monster of a man, 6.5 feet tall. You are not.
Implying that I'm not? Are you implying that I'm not a giant? Because I'm telling you, I'm 4'11" now, and that's big.
That is big. That is big. It sounds so fun, and it sounds. You know what I love is just the laughter or the joy. I can't tell you. Yeah. You know, as an old theater folk myself, like this is a very special energy. You know, the collaboration, the creation, preparing as you go into rehearsal. It's so good to hear. It's so good to hear again. It must feel so good to be back on the, boards, so to speak. I guess you're not going to be on the boards this time, but
it is. You know, we miss each other, theater people. You know that we need each other, and this is just so wonderful. Yeah,
and it has been, writing it has, ranged from laughing till we cry to crying till we cry.
Yeah.
We both love, like sometimes when we're reading back scenes and we crack up at ourselves, and so that is, we hope that our audience does as well. So there's, along with the sort of some more serious themes, there's a lot of silliness in play.
And Jeff, you're talking. We were just talking about the wildfires, and to me, this joy of being together as human beings and the appreciation of nature, being out there in the woods, because we need to appreciate each other and we need to appreciate nature. Yep.
Yeah, and it'll be a fantastic venue for it. I really look forward to seeing it. It's really great to reconnect with you, Laura Teasdale, even if it is in this very public forum. And Andrea, it's always a pleasure to speak with you.
You too.
Yeah, Laura. When I come up, we'll meet up. We'll reminisce when we were young and gigantic. All right. Fare ye's well.
Thank you very much.
Take care.
You.
All right.
Bye.
Andrea Boyd, the artistic director for Festival Antigonish and Theatre Antigonish. She is the director of Robin Hood, The Great Escape. She co-wrote it with Laura Teasdale, who is also playing Lil Joan. And if you go to festivalantigonish.ca, you can find out about some of the other events that they are presenting this summer. And some of those things will be streamed live, by the way.
This is CBC.
For more CBC podcasts, go to cbc.ca/podcasts.